Hola, me llamo Amy Perkins. I'm studying to be a high school Spanish teacher at Colorado State University. The following lesson is called Friend Court, or Tribunal de los Amigos. It is designed with the standards for an intermediate mid-level Spanish classroom in mind. If you would like to see an in-depth version of it or any other work samples, you can click on EDUC 331 or any other link on the sidebar. Thank you for watching. This lesson applies to Colorado Standard 1.3 in the intermediate mid-level of world languages. Each student will have the opportunity to produce both written and oral forms of presentational expression through preparation for and execution of courtroom proceedings. This activity will allow for acquisition and application of thematic vocabulary and expressions, as well as detailed written and oral narration in presentational form. This also meets NET's Standard 1A, as much of the lesson allows for interaction with smartboard technology and a utilization of lists prepared on tagzito.com. With these standards in mind, this lesson has two objectives. First, each student will be able to engage in oral discussion in a courtroom simulation. Second, each student will be able to produce a written, formal letter directed towards a judge in which they will articulate their side of the story in a partner activity called Friend Court or Tribunal de los Amigos. For this lesson, you will need the following materials: access to youtube.com or an MP3 version of the People's Court theme song. This will serve to build anticipation at the beginning of the class. Access to tagzito.com. This is a useful tool which will allow for students to be engaged while learning vocabulary. It is especially effective using a smartboard, as each word we click on will get bigger and change colors. This resource adds a visual element to the lesson. And if you want to go the extra mile, a judicial or graduation robe and a gavel will fit quite nicely into the role-playing activity. This lesson will be broken into 2 days. The first day will be spent on acquisition, rehearsal, and application of new concepts. These will prepare my students for a summative oral assessment which will take place the next day. On the first day, students will walk into an anticipatory set. Many will recognize the People's Court theme song, so this will not only serve to build anticipation, but also to activate prior knowledge and experience as a gateway to learning. Next, we will move on to new words and expressions. I will have prepared a vocabulary list of appropriate courtroom terms on tagzito.com. After we spend some time on terminology, I will give students the English translation of a word, and they will have races to find its translation on the Tagzito list on the smartboard. After a sufficient amount of time learning the vocabulary, students will have a chance to apply it in written form. They will break into groups of 2 and be assigned a role of either defendant or plaintiff. They will then be able to choose from a list of characters and circumstances from a menu, which will look a lot like this. Defendant and plaintiff will decide on a character and a circumstance, putting themselves in their character's shoes to make the story more personally relevant. They will then write a letter defending their argument. This will consist of their own personal account of a hypothetical situation. This letter will be directed towards the judge and will be turned in at the end of the class. They will have a chance to debate this topic further during courtroom proceedings the next day. On day 2, we will jump back into the lesson after some review. I will do a check for understanding and give the kids a chance to warm up through another set of smartboard races. After that, students will pair up and prepare for the summative assessment through recall and rehearsal of the information learned the day before. The next part of the lesson is the culmination of everything they've worked towards. One group at a time will approach me to represent themselves during court proceedings. They will expound on the letter they'd written before, answering questions and giving relevant details to persuade me of their version of the truth. There will be one graded assignment and one summative assessment. Each student's writing assignment will be graded individually using the following criteria: writing conventions, content, essential argument, and organization. The summative assessment will be graded based on content, vocabulary, and subject knowledge. I know students will love this lesson as it allows for them to talk about themselves and to their friends, to role play, and to move around the class.